Or do we need a break?
I'd do one more.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to agenda item number 8A. This is the regulation workshop informational with public comment allowed. And so let's start with the first regulation, 8A, Commission General Regulation number 396, LCB file number R051-11, Internet Contingency, Program Officer Maureen Hullinger.
Okay, good morning. Maureen Hullinger from Nevada Department of Wildlife. I'm here to workshop CGR 396, LCB file R051-11, Internet Deadline Contingency Regulation. This regulation is to address a concern the department and through the department systems consultants has had for several years. As you're aware, our tag applications are up to 97% through the internet. And this is a regulation that would provide us a tool in our toolbox should there be a situation where there might be a computer contaminant, an interruption of internet services, a malfunction of a computer application, a power outage, or something that might occur around our tag application deadline. Hopefully it's a regulation we'll never have to utilize, but it's there should something happen. Now this regulation is directed at the department. It's not directed at the sportsman's personal software, so it's a internet contaminant or something like that that occurs to the department's hardware, software, or situation. So with that stated, I'd like to go on to the language explanations. What was noticed was the LCB file. It did not have the changes that the department wants to recommend today, so I will be going over those with you at this time. Section 1, subsection 1 is all new language for Chapter 502, and it identifies the types of events that could prevent the receipt by the department of an electronically submitted application. It goes into stating, the power outage, computer contaminant, interruption of internet service, malfunctioning of a computer application or database of the internet website of the department. It has two subsections, A and B. Those two, A deals with who has the authority to extend the deadline and the time frame within that. Now the noticed version has the entity being the department, and the time frame being 3 days. Okay, so that's currently what was noticed. Subsection B is language that states if the department contracts with a private entity to conduct a drawing and to award and issue a tag or permit pursuant to the provisions of NRS, the department may, if agreed upon by the department, extend the period. And then subsections 2 and 3, 2 deals with extending the deadline for the bonus point period, which if you recall last year we had that new language that allows us to have that bonus point application period. And then subsection 3 is a definition that was provided by LCB regarding a computer contaminant. There's NRS already out there that gives us a definition. The language that the department would like to change is in section 1, subsection 1A and B, to start off with. B, in my discussions with LCB, is determined that is unnecessary. We have language on the books that states that that the department has to contract with a private entity, and then we have NAC language that determines that that private entity is an extension of the department. So it's really unnecessary language, and it needs to be struck out of this regulation because it's already covered elsewhere. So with that said, if you go back to A, I would like to suggest that we strike out the words except as otherwise provided in paragraph B. That would come out. And then A would start with the director, striking out the department, the director may extend that period by not more than 5 days instead of 3, or, and then this would be the new subsection B, or with the approval of the commission by more than 5 days instead of 3. Those are the changes recommended there. Now, if you'd like me to read it in its entirety without the exceptions, I can do that for you. So A would be, the director may extend that period by not more than 5 days, or B, with the approval of the commission, by more than 5 days. That allows us the opportunity that should it be determined we need more than the 5, we can have an emergency commission meeting to go forward with getting more than 5 days, okay? Subsection 2 is just some little housekeeping to go and coincide with A. If the director extends the period for applying a tag pursuant to subsection 1, the director may also extend the bonus point period. So it's to make sure we're consistent on how we're dealing both those deadlines. So those are the language changes there. Section 2 is current language, as is 3. There's some housekeeping issues that LCP determined in regards to the deadline that just refers back to that this no extension if it occurs, identifying it as an exception to those rules in the current language. So with that said, I'll turn it back to you for questions. Now, if you have technical questions, Don Sefton and Monty Martin are here today to answer any questions in that regard. Back to the commission.
Okay, any commissioners have any questions? Commissioner Rain?
Thank you. The language here under the first sentence of 1, I'm just wondering why it didn't state something like experience computer failure and then include all those, including but not limited to those items. Because you're talking about computer failure. I mean, it could be, you could have, Don's new secretary tore his computer plugs out of the wall and destroyed it. I mean, it could be physical. It could be a lot of things. Shouldn't it just, like, computer failure including these things? Because you want it to be broad, right?
Commissioner Ron, we did want, there was actually several reiterations before you even saw this, and that was, this language was worked over with LCB. There is statute on the books regarding computer contaminants, and we felt that this was broad enough to give us that coverage should something occur, whether it be a power outage, computer failure, like you're stating, how that failure occurs. Yeah, that computer failure occurs, whether it's broken equipment or whatever. We feel it's broad enough so that we can handle that situation.
No, it sure doesn't state it. I mean, it might seem that way, but there's nothing in here about anything physical except for the interruption of internet service, which could be...
Maureen, excuse me.
Go ahead.
Maureen, do you have a copy of NRS 205.4737 that you could read to the commission? Because I think that's where the contaminant language is, and maybe it will address that specific things.
It's it was part of the packet I sent out with the paper. I don't know if that went out. It's on the back page under the other references. It says a computer contaminant means any data, information, image, program, signal, or sound that is designed or it has the capability to contaminate, corrupt, consume, damage, destroy, disrupt, modify, record, or transmit, or cause to be contaminated, corrupted, consumed, damaged, destroyed, disrupted, modified, recorded, or transmitted any other data, information, image, program, signal, or sound contained in a computer system or network without the knowledge or consent of the person who owns the other data, information, image, program, signal, or sound, or the computer system or network. And then it goes on to the term includes without limitation. There's a whole list of things there. So this is language in the, I believe, the Department of Technology, Information and Technology section that we're utilizing.
Okay, I think that addresses your concern.
It addresses, I mean, a portion of it, but the physical damage, I mean, it's talking about anything that's a computer basically virus-type things. We're not talking about, I mean, maybe his mainframe drops out and goes kaput. Or, I mean, I know he's got redundant stuff, and he's not using his mainframe anymore, but There's just no physical, it doesn't talk about the physical aspects.
There is language in
Somewhere else?
subsection 1, where it goes on, if the department experiences in one of the listed items a malfunction of a computer application or database, which could include the hardware. So I think we're covered.
That would be the hardware portion is the
And
malfunction.
it's software, hardware, of the equipment, and how that goes about, whether it's someone damaging equipment or some other means. I think it's covered.
And then under, also under, let's see, what was it? B, I guess it would be number 2. Why is it not under department, oh, actually, director now, may also extend? I mean, why wouldn't that be a shall? Because if you can extend the one, then you should extend the other. Is there a reason it wasn't a shall, or, I mean, there was probably a debate in there. I don't know what you guys came up with. Why
When
was-
it comes to the masons and shells, I don't argue with LCB too much, because I usually end up wrong. So I guess it leaves us the opportunity that we may determine we don't need to, because you only maybe extend it one day, and it still allows plenty of time for the bonus point deadline. So
Commissioner McNich.
Maureen, in subsection 2 there, where it reads, if the department, those should also be changed to director.
yes, if I read it incorrectly before, it does, it should say director also in that section.
It just, and there's 2 references to that.
Right,
Are there any others?
no.
Okay.
Commissioner Rain.
Thank you. I'd just like to ask Mr. Sefton if he had any suggestions to this, or if he thought this covers, does it cover it?
Yes, we've had several opportunities to review it, had a lot of back and forth. We're happy with it.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Walsh.
There's a couple other instances where it says department. Is it any instance of department will change the director?
What sections are you referring to?
Page 10 has one, and page 4, I believe.
We could change, I think that all that is the housekeeping, and that's in the application process, referring to the deadline of the application, that should this situation occur, that there is that exception that provides the director the opportunity. I'm not sure we need to change anything, but we can certainly make that recommendation and make that director and go with it.
I just wanted to make sure.
A lot of times when they make these references in the current language, they'll put the section in the final language versus having this little statement here. So we can make the change to director and go from there.
Is there a copy?
So it was 10 and 4.
Commissioner Rain.
Is there a way we could have a clean copy with those corrections by the time we vote on tomorrow?
I can
Is that
certainly
possible?
try.
Okay. It might be helpful. So we could slay decks and keep it straight, make sure we got the language right.
Okay, any other questions of Maureen with regard to the changes to the regulation? Well, the regulation itself plus any of the changes? Okay, seeing none, this is an informational item, but we are taking public comment, so I'll go ahead and open up public comment. Anybody in the public, cabs, have any questions, concerns about this proposed change to the regulations? Seems like it's a pretty sportsman's friendly regulation, in my opinion. I certainly wouldn't want to miss the draw because something that was out of control of all parties occurred. And it seems fair, only fair that that we have a mechanism to extend it, take those kind of events into account. So, anybody from the public have any comments? Okay, seeing none, go ahead and bring it back to the commission. I guess, any further comments from any commissioners with regard to this regulation? Okay, seeing none, it's 5 to noon. Do we want to break now, or do we want to do one more? Any preference? Break? One more? Okay, let's do one more.
Did you have a presentation that you